All right, welcome back to Gold Derby for another Oscar prediction slugfest. I am Marcus James Dixon. I'm here with Denton Davidson, Daniel Montgomery, and Ray Richmond. And we have a special guest today. This is Matt Dittes, who in our Gold Derby Prediction Center came in number one predicting the Oscar nominations. He got 80.83%, which is 97 correct nominations out of 120. He actually tied for first place, but you have the best scores. So I guess we'll start with you, Matt. Is there any secret that you had that made you, win the Prediction Center contest?
I wish. First of all, hi guys, thanks for having me. It's always nice to chat with fellow Oscar nerds. I wish there was a secret formula. I mean, if there was, I probably wouldn't share it, but also I would win every year if there was some X factor that I knew about. I think I do what most everybody does. I look to the guilds and the industry awards first, especially those guilds that have overlap with Oscar voters. I look to all the precursor awards, Critics' Choice, Globes, all that. And then it's just an X factor of like personal hunches, what you think is definitely getting in, and almost more importantly, what I think is definitely not getting in, which sometimes pays off and sometimes doesn't. I think this year I had Triangle of Sadness and Ruben Östlund in my predictions for months last fall. Night before, or well, probably early December, decided to finally drop them for things that were seeming like they were stronger. But even when I had it in there, I never thought Dolly DeLeon was ever getting in. Sure enough, she didn't. In the end, I had her sixth. She was definitely in the conversation, but my hunch was that's not a name that Allison Williams or Riz Ahmed are going to call out. It was the same thing with Paul Dano this year. All season long, especially after I saw The Fabelmans, I thought, no, that's not happening. But then I caved to consensus the night before, put him in. He didn't get in.
Can I mention quickly, like, my annoyance with Matt for a second? Because he's not only a one-time winner, he's won this twice, which is incredibly hard to do, to win something that thousands of people are voting on every year. And the last time he won, do you know who got second place? Was me.
You
blocking me from my rightful championship. So congratulations on that. How long have you been, predicting at Gold Derby and coming to our site and making your predictions?
I mean, really from the get-go. My earliest Oscar memory is probably Anna Paquin winning for The Piano. That's how old I am and how long I've been like tangentially following the Oscars. I remember Gold Derby like late 90s, like its earliest incarnation, going to those forums, posting, being a real nerd, and then in its current incarnation, since 2011 or 2012, since you guys launched. It's always one of my most visited sites.
That's great.
I'm looking through your individual predictions. For Best Actor, you got 5 for 5, which is amazing. For Best Actress, you did 3 for 5. You picked Daniel Deadwyler and Viola instead of Andrea Riseborough and Ana de Armas. Talk to us about that. What do you think about those nominations?
I mean, I think they're, especially Best Actor, I think is a pretty strong category. It was pretty weak in terms of who was in the conversation this year. There was only a handful of names. I never thought Tom Cruise was ever a serious possibility.
I had Tom getting in. So.
You did?
Yeah.
It was definitely possible, but not something that I foresaw. I had Paul Mescal in there early last fall for a long time, ended up dropping him for Gabriel Labelle. But then another one of those a few weeks before thought, I think this is going to happen for Paul Mescal. And I hadn't even seen After Sun at that point. And now that I have seen it, I guess even more surprised that he did get in. It's a very quiet performance. He's hardly even the actual lead of that film. But it's great work. I could see the actors branch in particular responding to. And I think the Gold Derby top 5 odds did have Mescal. I think they had those 5. So it worked in my favor to go with consensus there. Actress, I mean, who would have gotten 5 for 5 in that category? I doubt anyone at Gold Derby of the like 10,000 predictors got 5 out of 5.
I think Rob Lake Curria did, and
really,
I'm sure
Rob
he will.
Had Andrea.
Yeah,
as did I.
But I think Rob had Danielle still in there.
Okay. I think there was somebody that did. I'm sure if you got 5 for 5 in Best Actress, comment down below in the comment section. Let us brag about yourself.
Definitely something to brag about.
With the link. I want to see the receipts.
Yeah.
But Matt, do you generally use our odds as sort of your guideline and your signpost when you're making your picks?
I do in the panic the night before. That's when I play it most safe. For months, I'll have some long shots in there or personal picks, but then the night before, I almost always inevitably go safe, which sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And usually, especially the more and more people are predicting at Gold Derby, you get more of a sense of what large voting bodies are going to, where the consensus is going to lie. And usually Gold Derby is, if not four out of five, at least 3 out of 5 in pretty much every category. Definitely for the short films.
Yeah, the overall odds always do way better than my individual picks, and I tell myself every year, just go with the odds. But then you'll tie with everyone else. You need to at least change one thing to try to get the win.
Play to win every time. I would rather finish at the bottom than know I'm going to just be in the middle. You have to pick some upsets once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Is there are there particular predictions that you got that you're especially proud of? Given that with that score, you definitely got some things that other people didn't.
Honestly, this year there wasn't any true long shots or anything specific that I think I could brag about. I did a healthy mix, I think, of hope dicting and dread dicting, like things that I hoped would happen and things that I didn't want to happen. And I definitely did that in picture. I think we could all agree on the same top 8, which did all get in. And then for those last 2 slots, I did end up going, well, I hope dicted Women Talking, which I had in, ever since the awards center opened last fall or last summer. And then especially once I finally saw Women Talking, I thought, yes, this is definitely something that I think the Academy is going to respond to, and something that I really hope happens. The Whale, which I had a 9th, was what I was dread dicting and hoping wouldn't happen. Glad it didn't happen for picture, as much as those performances were worthy, and I don't begrudge Fraser or Hong Chow their nominations. It was a mix of, let me put one in there that I don't want to happen but think will, and let me put one in there that I don't think will happen but I want to happen.
I just love the fact that you're using dicting as a verb. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, looking at your supporting picks, you got 9 out of 10. It looks like the only one you missed was Brian Tyree Henry, and you had Paul Dano instead.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. I have a question that's not Oscar related. Like the SAG Awards are always a huge bellwether. What do you think is going to win ensemble? Everyone seems to be with either Everything Everywhere All at Once, or there's some Banshees of Inisherin people. There's a couple Women Talking people. Where do you fall on that?
I think it's going to be Everything Everywhere. I think that'll be that. I think has a strong shot with each of the 3 big gold guilds, with SAG, with PGA, and with DGA. But I think strongest with the actors branch. I think Everything Everywhere is going to take SAG, and I think it's ahead for the Oscars too.
Well, should we talk about our Oscar predictions? Best Picture. Does anyone here not have Everything Everywhere? I guess the question is,
we all do.
Yeah. We all do.
That might be the best way to do these to save on time, is to ask who's not going with which frontrunners.
Yeah. And what did we have in second? I have Banshees of Inisherin, but I'm not confident about that.
Same.
I have The Fabelmans second. Okay. And I'm not confident in that.
I could see that happening because it does have the older voters. It's something they will definitely rally behind.
I still think Spielberg is a much better shot than the film, to win.
I think All Quiet will do well as well. I have that in my top 3 right now. So
I had All Quiet winning in the days leading up to the nominations, but then when he got snubbed for directing and it also got snubbed for editing, I moved it down to 3rd place.
Yeah, I have All Quiet in 4th place. I've got Everything Everywhere to win and Banshees in 2nd. I'm still a little bit wary of Banshees. I think Banshees could win at the BAFTAs, and we could see a sudden shift there. I don't think Producers Guild is sewn up for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I do think it'll win there, but PGA is where we see a lot of races kind of pivot in a direction we're not expecting.
For sure. Yeah, there's a lot of Best Picture nominees we haven't even mentioned yet, and I mean, Coda was not the front runner last year at this time, so I don't know. This is a category that I'm wary about. I have everything at number 1, but I'm not confident at this stage.
But Coda won PGA and they have that same preferential ballot. So that's why a lot of people look so closely at PGA. It doesn't always match up, but it's a really great bellwether and in terms of how people actually rank the movies that they've seen. And now the nominees are a little bit different, so you don't get a complete picture of that. But
yeah, I think there's 7 that line up as for the 10. So best director, do we all have the Daniels winning that? I know Steven
I
Spielberg.
have Spielberg.
You do have him. Okay.
Yeah, I just feel like he's due. The voters are going to think he's due. He hasn't won in 24 years, even though he's Steven Spielberg, and they're going to want to honor the Fabelmans in some way, and I think that's the most logical category to honor the film.
Yeah,
and I still feel like that movie is sort of underestimated and maybe misjudged as just this heartwarming family drama when it's really much darker than that. It doesn't get enough credit for having nuance. And that's all Spielberg, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could anyone else take this director category?
Yeah, I think Spielberg is definitely a strong second. And I think, when we talk about who's going to win so much, we're talking about narrative, and he has a huge narrative there. Obviously, he's super well respected, overdue at this point for more Academy love. And, even if voters don't love Fabelmans, I think he's an easy choice to check off because he has that awards narrative that no one else in the category necessarily has. But I think the safe money is still, if you think Everything Everywhere is as strong as it is in picture, it's safe to assume that it's also going to take director.
And Spielberg is also campaigning a lot. I've seen him at 2 events in person, and I don't remember seeing him for any, West Side Story events last year. So
he's doing it happily. That one event that I was at, Marcus, that you were at as well. He just seemed to be so upbeat and bubbly and ebullient. He just, he's really in his element, and he's usually a pretty shy, retiring guy from the public eye normally.
Best Picture is the only category that goes by the ranked choice. And before that was happening, the Best Director and Best Picture lined up together more frequently. So when I look at the Best Director race, I often think to myself, if this was not a rank system vote for Best Picture, what do I think would win Best Picture? And that's kind of where my mind goes to what I would choose for Best Director. And in this case, even if it wasn't a ranked system, I still think Everything Everywhere would probably be the favorite to win. And that's why I have Daniels currently out front for directing. But Spielberg, he's always a threat if he's in the race.
Well, Best
Spielberg
Actress
absolutely needs DGA though, because obviously he can't win at the BAFTAs. So if he wins at DGA, I could still see the Daniels winning at the Oscars. But if Spielberg can't win the Directors Guild, I think it's over.
Best Actress is a category that I'm sure we're not all in line with here. I am going with Michelle Yeoh, which last I checked, it was basically tied in our odds. Who else is going with Michelle?
I am.
Ray. Okay.
Michelle.
I have Michelle.
Why are you picking her over Kate? Anyone can take that question.
Partly it's racial. I really feel like there's an overdue, besides it's 2 things. It's racial, and it's the fact that she's such a beloved veteran who's now 60. There's a little bit of a career achievement aspect to it, that she's never been honored before with a nomination in any big award show. And she's great in the film. And I think there's a sentiment that, the Oscars are overdue to honor an Asian actress in a major category.
For me, I think it would be a different race if Cate Blanchett hadn't already won 2 Oscars. So that's a huge factor for me. Is we've talked about before about Meryl Streep and how many nominations she's won, or how many nominations she's received versus how many she's actually won. And part of that is because, when you have a couple Oscars, it's hard to get your third so easily, unless you're Frances McDormand. But for me, that's what's holding me back. Now, if she wins SAG, I probably will switch. If Kate Blanchett wins SAG and BAFTA, I will most likely switch for her at the Oscars, because I think Michelle Yeoh needs the SAG award, and that's where I think she has a chance of winning. And so if she loses that, she'll probably lose, my prediction.
Yeah.
And Daniel, you're picking Kate?
Yeah, I'm apparently the lone one here picking Kate Blanchett. I do think, I do think if she hadn't won 2 Oscars already, she'd be a slam dunk.
Yeah.
It's the fact that, the only thing that would be holding me back is the fact that she has those 2 Oscars. But she's been winning. She won the Golden Globe. She won the Critics' Choice Award. Tar has been overperforming everywhere it has been, up for awards. And, for a film that is so much the Kate Blanchett show, there's a lot going on in Everything Everywhere All at Once in addition to Michelle Yeoh's performance, but Tar is really about Tar. So I feel like, seeing it get these directing nominations and seeing it get, writing nominations, and it got the cinematography and editing nominations at the Oscars. They really love this film, and it's such a centerpiece performance for Kate Blanchett that I think she's going to be more like McDormand than Meryl. But again, it'll depend on what happens at SAG. If Michelle Yeoh wins SAG, because I'm predicting Kate Blanchett just to win across the board. So if Michelle Yeoh wins SAG, I'm going to start to waver and reconsider.
We always talk about how if you give a really good speech at the Globes or or any precursor really, that it'll give you a boost at the Oscars. But Kate's speech at the Critics' Choice kind of rubbed some people the wrong way, where she was like, why do we even have award shows? What's the point? We should all just share. So I wonder if that affects
she's still playing Lydia Tarr.
Yeah, she was being in character. I don't know. I wish
Lydia Tarr cares about the awards. Lydia Tarr has EGOT. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to Best Actor. This is another one that's.
Can I just say one more thing about Best Actress? We should have Rob Lucuria here to stump for Andrea Riseborough. And can you imagine, would the Republic just cease to exist if Andrea Riseborough actually won? We've already underestimated her once.
It could happen. I have her in 3rd place, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Okay.
Best Actor. I mean, I still see some strong love for 3 different people, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of Brendan Fraser, Colin Farrell, or Austin Butler won. Matt, do you want to go first on this one?
Sure. I'm probably least confident in this one right now, but I think it's going to be Austin Butler. I do think SAG is going to be a big indicator, and if Brendan Fraser wins there, which I think he has a great chance, he'll probably give an emotional speech that might be all that he needs to tip the scales in his favor, even though the film did not perform as well as many of us thought. It didn't get into picture, didn't get in for screenplay, but it also didn't have that picture nomination at Critics' Choice, and he still won. So people are certainly responding to the performance. It's emotional, and he has that huge comeback narrative behind him. But I think awards voters, particularly when you get a big group like the Academy, they default to biopic mimicry, and Elvis is clearly loved enough that I think it'll get him over the line. I'm hoping Colin Farrell actually has a strong chance, but even if he wins the BAFTA, which I don't think is a guarantee, I still don't think I would put him in first.
I agree with you. I think I have Colin in 3rd place. As much as I love his performance, there's just when you look at Austin and Brendan and the transformations that they're going through, that's just what Oscars like to see. And they don't pay as much attention to, a great straightforward performance like Colin Farrell is giving. And that's unfortunate, because I would love to see him win, but I think he's in 3rd.
I'm going for Brendan because, they love that redemption narrative too, and this is the big comeback. And I've never seen a more emotional speech by a human being at an award show than he gave at the Critics' Choice. But the man has been throughout award season, has been kind of a raw nerve, seemingly on on the verge of tears constantly, just walking around. But it's such an amazing performance, and very showy. And I think there's the perception that Austin, is going to have many more chances.
I think Brendan wants it really badly, and so that's part of the reason I want him to win. Daniel, you're nodding.
Yeah, I've got Brendan Fraser winning this. I'm not super confident. This actually reminds me a lot of the Best Actor race between Sean Penn and Mickey Rourke for Best Actor, including the fact that you've got a Darren Aronofsky directed performance in here, which is nominated for actor and supporting actress, but isn't up for Best Picture. That's The Whale also, and at the Oscars then they went with the Sean Penn performance that was in the Best Picture nominee. So I wonder if that could swing this in Austin Butler's favor. But yeah, he does have that, even though everyone here is a first-time nominee, the fact that he is so young, this is his breakthrough performance. Brendan Fraser has been in the industry for decades. Colin Farrell has been working in the industry for decades. I feel like that could tip the scales towards one of them, even though Fraser doesn't have that Best Picture nomination. That really, really would have been helpful.
But actor at best, the Best Actor category isn't always kind to a heartthrob either.
True.
That's true.
It's
Did you see the last?
To young men as they are to young women. Well, we can just say that.
Did you see the last time that all 5 nominees in this category were first timers? 1935.
A long time ago.
Oh my God.
It surprises me that Colin Farrell has never been nominated before. He's done such great work throughout his career. Well, the supporting ones, I imagine we can go pretty quickly through those. I mean, does anyone not have Angela Bassett or Ki Hai Kwan? It seems like they're pretty locked in.
There's a tiny part of me after seeing Jamie Lee Curtis get the career achievement at the Movies for Grown-Ups AARP Awards. It's still an award show. She gave such a passionate, wonderful speech for her career achievement. And I don't know how many Oscar voters were there, but I feel like there's a tiny shot for Jamie Lee, but it's probably Angela's, and it's deservedly Angela's. And I don't want to be in the same room as Marcus if Angela loses.
Yeah, that one. This is my one, big call this year. I actually called it in October before people even thought she would get nominated. I wasn't confident the whole time. I did switch at the Globes to Jamie Lee Curtis, but then after Angela won, I said, I knew it. I was right.
I do think there's a small world in which Carrie Condon takes BAFTA and surprises at the Oscars, especially if Banshees doesn't take screenplay. It might be the best place to award a film that clearly voters love and might not win elsewhere, but Bassett's definitely out front.
It would be weird to me if Carrie Condon was the only acting winner for Banshees. I mean, stranger things have happened, but that would just seem strange.
She's like the 4th biggest character in the film.
Right.
But I could.
Yeah, it would be.
You're totally right. I could see it happening.
Yeah, it would be odd for Carrie Condon to win for that role, although I could just see it, like this long, this actress who's been working for a while, hasn't really been, gotten the big showcase or the big kind of moment in the spotlight, like at awards. And I could see a lot of people kind of wanting to give it to her, wanting to see her prevail against, and sometimes that happens, against an overdue narrative, like sort of like Juliette Binoche over Lauren Bacall. But Angela Bassett, just winning stuff. So like until she stops winning things, I'm gonna keep predicting her to win it. And poor Jamie Lee Curtis, to the extent that Angela Bassett kind of stole her overdue narrative. It's kind of much more towards Bassett than Jamie Lee Curtis now.
Right. And Jamie is not helped by the fact that Stephanie Hsu is also in there. I mean, there's passion for both of those performances, so that's a vote split.
Yeah, there's a little vote splitting going on for sure.
Honestly, for me, the fact that Angela Bassett was even nominated for a BAFTA is a win for her at BAFTA. I mean, they do not, that seems like a film that they would not nominate. And so the fact that she's even in at BAFTA at all, to me, is good enough as at winning as BAFTA for her.
So you think whether she wins at BAFTA or not, it doesn't matter. The nomination is the win.
No, SAG matters.
Yeah. Oh, she's got the SAG locked up.
But I don't think BAFTA will. I don't think anyone expects BAFTA to be behind, Angela Bassett, Denzel Washington. I don't think he's never been a BAFTA.
They don't go for people of color.
Record there. So I mean, that's a difference between the BAFTAs and the Academy.
I think we should start the BAFTA so white hashtag.
The irony is that when the year of Fences, Viola Davis won the BAFTA and they still didn't nominate Denzel. It's so weird that they don't like Denzel.
It is weird.
Yeah.
For supporting actor, do we all think Brendan Gleeson's in second place, or does anyone else have someone in second?
There's a part of me that thinks that, the life achievement, without calling it life achievement, honor for Judd Hirsch. I didn't even have him down for nomination. But now that he's got it, I feel like the man's 87. This is the last chance they're going to have to honor him. He seems to be pretty beloved in the Academy. I feel like there's a tiny chance for him, but it would be unbelievable if Ke-Huy Quan loses. I don't see that happening.
I would love if Brian Tyree Henry could win this. They didn't seem to love Causeway, though, the voters, and how many of the membership are going to actually watch Causeway before the winners are announced. Best adapted screenplay. Does everybody have women talking, or is there something else? I mean, All Quiet could do it. Glass Onion.
When you think of All Quiet, though, you don't think of the screenplay necessarily.
Yeah.
Not like Top Gun, where it's all screenplay.
Clearly.
How did that happen? How did Top Gun get a screenplay nomination?
I don't know, because I had Tom Cruise getting into actor and Top Gun not getting into screenplay, and it was the reverse, which was strange.
And he was the extreme frontrunner to win cinematography and did not get nominated. That was crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I have women talking too, just because it's the most scripted. Other than Glass Onion's great, but it's not a.
And I think they're going to want to honor that film in some way.
Oh yeah, Sarah Polley has been, a darling this award season. Whether she gets in or snubbed at various award shows, she's always just a trooper. I love following her on Twitter. And the fact that Women Talking got into picture tells me that it's winning adapted. If it hadn't, I would be more up in the air about this category.
Yeah, if it hadn't gotten into picture, I don't think it would have a chance here. I think I would be going towards probably All Quiet on the Western Front by default, just because it would have had that Best Picture nomination. Winning a screenplay award on your sole nomination. I don't know when the last time that happened. So the Best Picture nomination was huge. That was the key to winning this. Hopefully, I hope for Women Talking.
Original screenplay. This is the only category that I have Banshees winning something. So I don't know if I'm crazy to do that, but I don't think Banshees will go home empty-handed, and I'm not predicting it for any other above the line category. So I think it's got to win something. So that's why I have it here. But I know a lot of people have Everything Everywhere winning here. Ray, what about you?
Yeah, I think Everything Everywhere. I think this is going to be part of its Oscar night juggernaut. Yeah. I feel like they'll win 4 or 5 probably that night, and I think I see the Daniels losing for director but winning for screenplay, which is not necessarily a popular sentiment. But I think Everything Everywhere has got this outside shot for Banshees, but I think Banshees is going to go away empty-handed that night in the major categories.
Yeah, and Banshees won the Globe for screenplay. I don't know if that matters much, but
Everything Everywhere won the Critics' Choice, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I have Banshees right now, but I think I want to switch to Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think Banshees could lose everything. I think that's completely possible. I think that I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. And I don't know if the Oscar voters really care about like, oh, I better award this one, because they might think differently. Like one might want to give it to Carrie, and one might want to give it to the screenplay. So I don't know if those sort of games of divvying out your votes really works. So I have Banshees, but I think I'm going to switch.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got Everything Everywhere. Yeah, I've got Everything Everywhere, and I think, you know, Banshees wins if they want to spread the wealth, but we've seen in the past that they don't really always care, or like if they do care, they don't care in aggregate. Like when you add them all up together, all their votes. Like Birdman just won everything. They didn't care to spread the wealth to Richard Linklater for Boyhood or Wes Anderson for Grand Budapest Hotel. American Hustle went 0 for 10. The Irishman went 0 for 10, I believe. That was also 10 nominations. So yeah, I think they could easily send Banshees away with nothing. It's got a shot in 2 or 3 categories, but like it's possible it might not swing their way in any of them.
If they shut out The Irishman, maybe they'll shut out an Irish film too.
What do they have against the Irish?
Well, every time we assume that the Academy like has feelings or any awards.
Oh God, not feelings.
They're gonna feel bad, or this is gonna happen. They prove us wrong time and time again. Like they don't feel remorse. Like they don't have shame. They go with what they like, and they move forward.
I love reading the anonymous Oscar ballots, which Chris Beecham will do, I'm sure, in about a month or so. And some of them are just so blatantly honest. You're like, I'm glad your name isn't attached to this random person, because you would be canceled. So do we want to talk about all of the below the line races? Go through them, relatively quickly.
We can just whip through if you want.
Sure.
Cinematography, I have All Quiet. Does anyone have anything different than that?
I have All Quiet.
All Quiet.
All Quiet.
I have Elvis right now, just because I want to. I don't know. I want to see. I'm just letting it simmer. These are by no means my final predictions. We've still got weeks to go, but I love the cinematography in that film. I think it's one of the bright spots of it. And Mandy Walker would be the 3rd woman to ever win Best Cinematographer. And so
the 3rd woman nominated. I think she'd be the first to win.
3rd nominated. Yes, you're right. You're right. And I interviewed her. I just think it would be a cool nomination or a win.
Costume design. I have Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but I'm not convinced like a lot of Gold Derby is. I mean, the first Black Panther one, obviously. Is Ruth going to win too?
I don't think so. I think they're gonna, though I have Black Panther in front right now, but I think Catherine Martin's gonna three-peat, taking both those design Oscars, and she's gonna take costumes and production design for Elvis.
This seems like a good category for Elvis, for Elvis to win, and I think they're going to want to honor the film in some way.
There's a correlation between costumes and production design, right? Those go together quite a bit.
Especially when it's Catherine Martin. Yeah.
Yeah, always when it's Catherine Martin. It would be interesting if he got the exact same nominations as Moulin Rouge, save for Best Actor versus Best Actress. It would be interesting if he got the exact same wins too, which would be just the costumes and production design.
I might think of switching from Black Panther to Elvis there. Although the Wakanda Forever costumes are so good, the funeral scene and the whole underwater civilization, like it really was.
I mean, the costumes are not the same, and there is something powerful about like when you like look up costumes of different films, and when you look up Wakanda Forever and you see Angela Bassett in that white hat. I mean, and then you look up Elvis and it's Elvis in his Elvis suit. Like there's a feeling of like, wow, when you see Angela Bassett. But there is a lot more than the Elvis suit in Elvis, just to be clear.
Well, now I may stick with Wakanda. I don't know.
Has anybody talked about how bizarre it is that Austin Butler continues to go through awards season sounding like Elvis? He was born in Southern California.
Yeah. I've seen a
Kind of
few.
funny.
Okay, film editing. This is another one where I'm not confident. I have Top Gun Maverick winning right now, but I could see everything everywhere pulling it off.
I think I have everything everywhere just because the editing seems so built into the whole narrative.
Right. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah. I've got everything everywhere also. I think either could win. And the problem is they're probably both going to win Ace Eddie Awards in their separate, drama and comedy categories. So that's not going to help us. Although if one of them loses at the Ace Eddie
Yeah.
Awards, I think that will tell us something. But yeah, I've got everything everywhere. Top Gun Maverick, close second. I think it could go either way.
Makeup and hair. I have The Whale winning this, and I'm not really even considering anything else. They love to pair up makeup with like an acting award, and
They do.
Yeah.
I feel like The Whale, the only one that would have a shot besides this, I think, is Elvis.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like The Whale. I mean, so much time and care and prosthetics were put into The Whale. It would be a huge upset if it didn't win for makeup and hair.
But the Elvis has Tom Hanks, who's covered in prosthetics as well. So
True.
That's true.
and the Batman has Colin Farrell, who does not look like himself at all. There's a lot of prosthetics in this category this year. So
Maybe they should change the name of it.
Best
Best prosthetics.
The Emmys have separate categories for makeup and hairstyling, and I wonder if that's going to happen one day at the Oscars, because they are two totally different things.
Well, they only added hairstyling, I think, in the it in the early to mid '80s? It was just makeup before that.
No, actually, it was much more recent than
later.
that. I think
Yeah.
it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago or something.
Oh, is that it? Oh, I thought it went back further.
And it used to be the only category remaining with 3 nominees, and they finally went to 5 a few years back, which was a long time coming. Production design, I think we kind of already talked about this. Do we all have Elvis winning this one? Watch out for Babylon.
I've got Elvis.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
Babylon poses a threat.
And Babylon also poses a threat in best score. A lot of people are predicting that. It won the Globe. I think it won the Critics' Choice too, didn't it?
Yeah.
But I personally am picking All Quiet on the Western Front. Maybe it's because I interviewed the composer. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know. Who else wants to jump into this one?
Academy seems to really like Justin Hurwitz a lot.
They didn't nominate him for First Man, though.
Yeah.
And he won the
That's
Globe
true.
for that, which was weird. Like he wins the Globe and then just gets snubbed.
Yeah.
I've got Fabelmans tentatively. I feel like, I could see the Fabelmans winning nothing but score. That would be kind of like a consolation prize award. And the fact that they didn't really like Babylon that much, I wouldn't be surprised if Babylon didn't win anything. It's only up for 3. John Williams is a legend. He's the oldest, nominee ever. He hasn't won in almost 30 years, despite 53
That's all
nominations. Like for him only to have won 5 times, like most people winning 5 Oscars is extraordinary. John Williams, though, that's a success rate of less than 10%. So it's really, would be almost overdue. A 5-time Oscar winner is overdue to win again. And I think that's kind of true.
I have him in 4th. I think his success rate is going to continue at this Oscars. I have Babylon and I have All Quiet in 2nd. I think the score of when you watch that film, the score just jumps out at you, just right from the beginning. It's part of the movie, and
It's true.
it's just something that has.
And
There's so much in that movie that jumps out at you.
And it's the same composer, Volker Bertelmann, who did Lion back in 6 years ago. And that Lion score is one of the all-time best. And I can't believe it didn't win. Best song. I feel like this is an easy category. Do we all have RRR?
Oh, it's gotta be not to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the easy categories because I don't think about them at all. I just make my pick and then I focus on the other ones that need my attention.
This is its only nomination, so I could see a surprise, like maybe, Top Gun Maverick or Black Panther. surprising here. You know, reminds me of you know, the song from Judas and the Black Messiah, "Fight for You," winning when a lot of people thought it was going to be Eurovision on its only nomination. So I wouldn't say it's a lock just because this is its only nomination, and so that might be a disadvantage.
One caveat to that, it would be nominated in international film if it had been submitted there. So
No question.
I think we can count it as a 1.5 nominations. Best sound, I'm predicting the war movie, All Quiet, but I think a lot of people are predicting Elvis. It's the music one. There's also some love for Top Gun. Denton, what do you have?
I have Top Gun in first right now. But yeah, Elvis has the music. So being the one that is solely focused on more music, that could, you know, do huge favors for it. They used to separate sound mixing and sound editing, and sound mixing would always go to whatever had music in it. You always knew sound mixing was the musical. So now that they're combined, it's a little trickier, but you've got the musical and you've got the war movie, and both of those are what the sound people like. So I'm going with the flight movie. I don't know. I'm still thinking about this one. Top Gun is at the top of my list by default right now, but I think it's a 3-movie race.
Yep, totally agree. And I also have Top Gun in first.
A lot of people will get this category wrong.
As well.
I have All Quiet.
Elvis kind of stands out to me because it's the only, you know, light movie. Everything else is so dark and serious.
I mean, Elvis does have a tragic ending.
Oh, did he die? Like, no spoilers. Visual effects, I don't think we need to talk about this. It's going to be Avatar: The Way of Water. Deservedly so. Like, James Cameron's, the story behind this, like, he spent so many years trying to perfect these visual effects.
They got something like 14 Visual Effects Society nominations, and I think the next got like 3 or 4, something like that.
Animated feature, what could possibly be Pinocchio? I mean, I have Marcel in second place, but I really don't know. Puss in Boots also is really wildly popular.
No, the best move of Guillermo del Toro is putting his name in the title. They can't vote against it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So smart.
So they don't mistake it for the Pinocchio movie. Like, there were like 3 Pinocchio movies last year, so they needed to differentiate them.
I didn't see the animated one, Disney one, but apparently it was awful.
Yeah, I did not hear good things.
It was
I love Marcel the Shell, but I don't think anything can take Pinocchio down at this point.
Right. I think if I was a voter, I would vote for Marcel, knowing that I was throwing my vote away because Pinocchio just is so far out front.
Yeah.
So documentary, I'm kind of going with the odds in this one. I will eventually watch all 5 of these, but I have not done it yet. All the Beauty and the Bloodshed is number 1. Does anyone think?
I think that's the heavy favorite. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but it seems like that's the one to beat.
I guess
I've
Navalny.
seen a couple of these, but I'm going with Fire of Love at the moment.
Okay.
You know, to be the potential octopus teacher, kind of feel good. Well, it's also kind of a sad story, but it's, you know, uplifting in a certain way, and it's getting in at all the guilds. So I've got that one at the moment, but we'll see what happens at, you know, as guild awards announce their winners, and what the BAFTAs do will be a huge guiding light for me.
Navalny could do this. It's a very timely, important movie. And there was one, I'm forgetting the name. It was Icarus, that one. And it was also about Russia, and it was sort of timely at the time. And a lot of people didn't predict that one, and it ended up winning. International film, even though Argentina 1985 won the Globe, I think everyone here is predicting All Quiet on the website.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if it didn't win.
Yeah.
Although if RRR was in the category, all bets would be off.
Yeah, it'd be a different race.
Yeah.
But All Quiet, you know, it's got so many nominations elsewhere.
And that Best Picture nomination is hard to overlook. You know, there have been films that have gotten nominations outside of international feature and lost, like, you know, Pan's Labyrinth, Amelie. But when you get that Best Picture nomination, like they just win international almost by default.
Even if RRR was in this, All Quiet on the Western Front is much more of an Academy's taste. I wouldn't be predicting RRR even if they were here.
Same.
And then we have the shorts, and I right now I'm going with the odds in all 3 shorts, but I will eventually watch all 15 and then pick the one that I think actually deserves it. Has anyone seen these? Does anyone have any?
I actually have.
Okay, tell us what's going to win.
Okay, so here's just my inside scoop from what I've seen I always just vote for the one that I like the best or the one that I think is going to win. And I generally do pretty well in the shorts. I usually get like at least 2 out of the 3. But this is the first time that I've watched them and feel like our odds of frontrunner actually match my own feelings, which is interesting.
And the odds are The Boy, the Mole, The Fox and the Horse for animated, The Elephant Whisperers for documentary, and Le Pupille for live action. Is that correct?
Correct. I have to make one correction though. I have not seen My Year of Dicks yet.
I actually have seen it, and it's fantastic. It's
actually won the most awards, like precursor awards on the short film circuit. So I'm excited to see that. But I just wanted to make that aware that I actually have not seen that one. The rest I have seen.
I wonder, are they going to have to
look forward
bleep
to watching the animated shorts just for the titles? Like I'm really looking forward to finally seeing all of them.
Yeah.
Are they going to have to bleep that on ABC's broadcast, My Year of Dicks, or are you allowed to say that at like 8 p.m.
I think at this point you can say that. I mean, maybe they'll hold that category until later in the night.
I just think it's fantastic that it's even an issue. They have to be able to say it.
I love that they had Riz Ahmed announce that instead of sorry, who was the other Oscar?
Allison Williams.
Yeah, I'm glad they had him make that announcement rather than Allison Williams. I thought that
it really needed to be a British accent on
My Year of Dicks.
It was so proper.
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts? I think Everything Everywhere is probably going to clean up. It's going to win the most of the night.
And Matt is going to put us all to shame.
Oh, don't trust me for the winners prediction. I never do well there. Never. Nominees can do. Winners, not.
Well, coming up next, we'll have SAG Awards coverage and BAFTAs and all of these different guilds, Producers Guild, Directors Guild, Writers Guild, etc. You can predict all those in our prediction center, and you can also predict the Emmys, and the Grammys are on Sunday. So make sure you update your Grammy predictions and all of that fun stuff at goldderby.com. Thank you for watching.